Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 50 of the Lead to Greatness podcast. As we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential, and together we can change the world. Today on Lead to Greatness, we have Merrily Orsini. Orsini is the founder and board chair of corecubed. She is the leader and creator and the host of the Help Choose Home podcast, which focuses on educating the masses on how to and when to choose healthcare at home in your later life. In 2017, Orsini won a Lifetime Achievement in Business Award, sponsored by the Stevie Award for Women in Business. On today's podcast, she discussed leadership, marketing, and healthcare at home, an option when care is needed. Please join me with Let's Talk Business with Merrily Orsini. This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
I grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I am 74 years old as of this month. And so I grew up in Little Rock when it was a very different community than it is now.
Wow.
My mother was an attorney and obviously a little before her time and was very active in the national level of the National Association for Women Lawyers. And I had the pivotal moment that I remember was meeting Judge Florence Allen, who was either the first or one of the first federal judges, female federal judges that was appointed. And she and I became pen pals. So
Wow.
I think at that point in my life, and I was probably 10 years old, I realized, women can do anything they want to do. They can be lawyers, they can be judges, they can be doctors, they can do whatever it is that they want to do. And I think that was I've never gone back from that. I mean, that was like, I realized this is reality, it's happening. And so I think I've pretty much lived my life fulfilling my passions.
That's amazing.
And my home care at home has been a passion of mine now for over 40 years. And so I'm actively involved in working to educate people about care at home. And I'm also still actively involved in my business and in a consulting business that's a global healthcare technology company that's based out of Dallas. So the most exciting part about what I do is my podcast, which is Help Choose Home. And actually, I have two most exciting things. And the reason that I find that so exciting is that I'm interviewing leaders, national leaders in lots of different areas, in home health and hospice and palliative care. And I really get to get into their mind and hear their insights. So to me, that's very exciting. The other exciting thing that I do, I told you I work for a global healthcare technology company. And I find that incredibly exciting because of the CEO of that company. The CEO is a young man, younger than my two children. So he just turned 40 this year. He's going to kill me for saying that publicly. But he is a Nigerian man. His name is John Olajide, and he really is building a global healthcare technology company. And of course, when he started it, I've been with him for 7 years and I've watched this growth. But what happened yesterday on a leadership meeting, and now it truly is a global company. We have offices in Mumbai, we have offices in Lagos, Nigeria, and we have offices in the Philippines. And yesterday on the leadership meeting, he said, "Okay, folks, I want to hear your big dreams." And I have a big dream for healthcare. And no one had ever asked me what my big dream was. And he did that yesterday, and I told him. And my big dream has to do with treating people as they get older, not for what diseases they have, but for their functionality. And so, and we've all known people who are 100 years old and run marathons. So, and then you also know people that are 100-year-olds and are near death. So it really, what matters as you get older is how you're functioning. And that's the crucial thing. And I have this dream to bring that functional scale into the healthcare at home industry so that it gives us a really good idea as to which people we're going to have trouble with and which people are going to do fine. And again, it's all based on function. So that may not seem like such a big dream to you, Cedric, but it just is something that I see. The pandemic has created a scenario where people are now very respectful of getting care in the home.
Yeah.
And some of the rules and regulations have been relaxed. And so I really do now see a scenario where if you want to stay at home to age in place, that it's going to be possible.
So was this big dream, was it before COVID-19 or it kind of happened during the pandemic?
No, it happened actually fairly recently, and because of the pandemic.
Okay.
My corecubed, which is the company that I founded and am chair of the board of now,
Mhm.
started in 1998 as an all virtual company. So we were ahead of the game by what, some 20 years in terms of people working from wherever they want to work.
Yes.
But it's been a very nice business for us.
Mm.
And the pandemic, what it allowed was for lots of people to work from home. So, many people now know it really doesn't matter where you are physically located as long as you can communicate and work together to get the work done. Sometimes it's even better than if you have to spend an hour and a half in traffic in the morning and
Uh,
the same going back home. So that has happened because of the pandemic. But the other thing is this reliance on care at home. I mean, when all of the deaths started happening in the congregate living facilities for seniors, nobody wanted to be in a congregate living facility because you knew
right.
if somebody's nephew came in visiting, you were going to get COVID, and your likelihood of death was greater the older you are and the sicker you are. So it's really this. My current envision that we can actually do this has really happened because of the pandemic, because money's being allocated more now into telehealth and some of the other areas that were not funded before. And the referrals are now coming in for people to go at home. They're having lots of SNF at home, which is skilled nursing facility, and hospital at home initiatives. So the level of care, the acuity of the patient, the level of care that happens in the home is actually increasing. People can be very ill and be taken care of at home and not ever have to go into a hospital. So, I mean, unless you obviously need like open heart surgery or something where you had to be in an operating room.
Right.
But no, that's really because of the pandemic. So that if there could be a silver lining to this terrible year, that is it. Or not this terrible year, last terrible year, sort of leading over into this year.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about Core Cube. What
Yes.
inspired you to begin this journey and why? Talk us through it.
corecubed is a digital marketing company, and basically we're in the aging care space.
Mhm.
I'm a social worker. I have a master's in social work, and I did social work for a while. Found myself in a situation where I knew I was going to have to support myself and a couple of kids. So I decided to start a business, and that business was a care at home business. The name of it was Elder Care Solutions. I had it for 17 years in Louisville, Kentucky. And I started it based on what everyone is saying one should do now, which is person centered. So I didn't have a model. I just knew that I had someone that needed care, and I learned how to do that. I also made a rule that I would never do caregiving, that I would always have other people do the work, because I'm not a good caregiver, a good housekeeper, any of those kinds of things where you would want someone to actually, be in your face to take care of you.
Uh,
But the 17 years that I owned Elder Care Solutions, I grew it to a sizable business and sold it. But along the way, I was constantly striving for how do we provide better care and how do we understand the aging process. So
mhm.
that entire time I had that business, I was really searching for ways to make care at home better. And then when I sold it, I wanted to. I love businesses. I like the dynamics of it. I love having a business. I like watching it grow and succeed. So that part's fun for me. But I really tried to decide what was it about that business that I liked so much, and it was the marketing component. So, and we were very good at it. Now, I didn't have a training in marketing, but I had 17 years experience. And so that is really, we took that and we have, grown that and continue to do that. So
What are some keys you can give to Lead to Greatness community to help thrive and move forward in your business?
well, number one, I think that you have to have confidence and faith in yourself.
Hmm.
Unless you're a crazy person and your ideas are terrible, So, but have understanding. If you see a solution to a problem, or you see something that you really think needs to be done, then figuring out how to do that. But have faith and trust yourself, because everyone's gonna, not everyone, but lots of people will be negative about either, could you be successful, or is that a good idea or a bad idea or whatever. But if you continue and persistence is really my one word that I think has served me well. Now some people will say I'm a little obnoxious when I become very persistent, but that persistence factor, it's going back to the drawing board. You got an idea, it's a good idea, you try it, it doesn't work. So then really, why doesn't it work? Why didn't it work? Was the message wrong? Was your target wrong? Is the idea bad? I mean, what is the reason why it's not working? And you just continue to refine that and continue to work at it, and just move forward. And the other thing I think is, don't let the naysayers ever get you down,
Mm.
because there's lots of naysayers, and everyone always says, "Oh, I could do that. I could have done that." That's not. And I'm thinking, you know what? If you could have done it, you would have done
Yeah.
it. So, I just think you have to believe in yourself and move forward. And I'm continuing to build on successes also. So if something works, then what's the next level? And what can we do to make it work better? So it's just a constant learning, constant striving for doing things better.
I love it. That is a knowledge bomb. It's a knowledge bomb. And you said something that I really want to touch on this. You say you begin, if it's not quite working, you go back and you ask the question, why is it not working? What I'm getting from that is not necessarily that it's a bad product. Maybe it's a bad presentation of the product.
Could be presentation, could be price, could be positioning. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why things don't work. And, through the years, I've gone to a lot of workshops and seminars. So if I ever feel that I want to know more about something, I buy books, I go to workshops, I go to seminars, and I learn things. And I remember one that for some reason I remember, it was talking about mascara, and it was showing this company had some new mascara that was supposed to be really good, and it
Mm.
wasn't selling. So they went back to look at what it was, and they had it priced wrong, because it was a high end product that they had priced at a low end. So they repackaged it to look high end, tripled the price or quadrupled the price, sold like hotcakes.
That is
So I
insane.
mean, it's really just, again, just figuring out what is it that I've done wrong, and what is it I need to do to make that better.
Right. And I've seen small mistakes that, I mean, even something as simple as a website, the website wasn't put together right, or the why, the purpose, was not anywhere, and it was just a bunch of information on the website. And I believe that can be a business killer. What's your thought on that?
Oh, clearly. Well, now you're talking to a marketing person. After, 22 years of marketing, I
Yeah.
could say, hey, a website is not an insignificant thing right
Uh,
now. It's a huge thing. It's like
uh,
your window to the world and your
uh,
storefront. That's the other thing I think in business is understanding what it is you can do and what you need to hire experts to do. So
mm,
I would never do a do-it-yourself website if that's how I was getting my customers. So I would go to professionals and have them help me with my marketing, with my message, with my visuals, because if you don't present yourself well, no one's going to pay attention to you. I mean, I used to do for the Chamber of Commerce in Louisville. I used to do workshops, and one of them I did for women was teaching them how to shake hands.
mm.
Now, that may sound insignificant, but if you meet someone in a business setting and you get a limp handshake, that's an impression that doesn't go away.
Yes.
So I even teach my grandkids now how to shake hands. So when they meet someone, then I make them stand up straight and grip the hand,
Gotcha.
So um, I think I went way off your question there,
That's
but
good.
I think
That's good.
it's knowing when to seek outside help and counsel and when to do it yourself. That's a pretty important.
If you can't do it, hire a professional. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Why is that important?
Well, when you're starting a business or running a business or growing a business, there's all kinds of things that you have to look at constantly. But how you present that business and yourself
Mhm.
to the outside world is important, because oftentimes you have one opportunity for someone when they, get your website, see you on Facebook, um, has something, someone mentions you and someone looks you up, and you really have one opportunity a lot of times to make that sale or to make an impression or to get someone to make a call to you. And so spending a lot of time in thinking through that is really important. There's all kinds of different types of marketing tools where you can explore who you are, what's your persona, how should you be presenting yourself, and in what channels do you need to be present in order to reach your market. So marketing, people don't understand how complicated and scientific it is. It's really an art and a science.
Mm.
But and when you're starting out and you don't have a lot of money, I mean, when I started my first business, I told you I was a social worker and realized I had to do something. And I didn't know anything about business. I knew about social work. Okay, so I really had no clue. And I had a friend who was in marketing, and I had $5,000. I had renovated a house, flipped a house, and so I had some cash, and that's my money I was going to use to start my business. Well, I spent, I want to say 2,500 or 3,000 of it, so half of my seed money, in a brochure that was very expensive and very detailed
Yeah.
and beautiful. But how do you then get that brochure to people?
Oh,
So I mean, it was a hard lesson for me to learn, is that marketing is not just about having something pretty to show people. It's really about the strategy to how are you going to get to them, and when you do get to them, what is it that they see. And so I learned that lesson the hard way. And at Core Cubed, we've always tried to help people understand the complexity of marketing, and we've tried to be gentle with them. Like, we'll have people come to us, Cedric, who have the most awful logo and visual, but it was something their nephew did, or and they love it, but
right.
it's awful. So it's real. You have to think about, from the first time someone sees you, hears about you, listens to you, what is it that you're projecting, and is it what you want to project that goes along with what you're trying to sell.
What is the greatest entrepreneur lesson you ever learned?
Ooh. um I think that is hiring people that are better at what you do than you are,
Mm.
and that takes a bit of humbleness. But it also, if you always hire people who are better than you, then you can go on to do other things, and those people can take whatever it is you're doing and continue it, but do it better.
Ah, knowledge bomb. The choices for aging in place is so complicated right now. Can you provide a simple overview of how one starts the decision making process when caring is needed?
Oh, this is going to sound very cruel, but I will tell you, if you have a lot of money,
Mm.
it's a whole lot easier. If you have no money, it's somewhat easier. But if you're like most of us and you're in the middle, it's really difficult. So, and
Yes.
I'm sorry to tell you that, but that's really the truth right now. Now, I have hope for the future in America, because I think that because of COVID, people are looking at how we take care of our senior citizens, our elderly, and I think some changes will be made because of that. But the first thing I always recommend is, again, I said you seek professional advice. I recommend that you find an aging life care professional. That's an actual organization, Aging Life Care Professionals. And what an aging life care professional does is what we used to call geriatric care managers, where they assess your situation. You know, it's like when you go in to have your car fixed, they don't just fix everything. They figure out what's wrong with it and they go directly there. So the what the assessment does, it's a knowledgeable assessment of where you are in either your disease uh, progress or process, if you have a disease, or just in your frailty to death process. Where are you in that process?
Right.
How much family support do you have? Are they close? Are they able to provide support to you? How much financial resources do you have? Because all of those things are important. And then what is your actual physical situation? So, someone who's a professional can take all of that information and can let you know, number one, your disease is going to progress fairly rapidly. And so if you're going to be at home, your care needs are going to increase and you have a limited time for care. Or, you know, you're 74 years old and you might live another 20 years unless you get stung by a bee or something. And so that's a different scenario.
Right.
Or if you're having a mobility issue and you live in a 3-story house, then
Mm.
that scenario is different. So it's like a financial planner. You If you go to a financial planner, they're going to give you a different plan than they are someone who has another set of assets. So the same is
Absolutely.
true for aging. And why we don't understand that, I don't know. But many people make terrible decisions based on no knowledge, and they just sell the house, move the parents someplace, and it's a bad decision.
Wow.
So the first thing to do is really assess that situation and determine what are the likely outcomes of all these situations, and then make a decision, an informed decision about what you want to do. If you don't have any money, the best thing you can do is spend down your money so you have no money,
Mm.
and then you can be eligible for Medicaid, which varies in all 50 states.
Yeah.
Now, there's an actual profession, elder law attorneys, that help people do that,
Wow.
because what a lot of people do is say, "Oh, I'll give Cedric 5,000, and I'll give my his brother 5,000, and then I'll be eligible for Medicaid." It's not the case. If you give that money away in a time period that you shouldn't, then you're going to be in trouble
Wow.
and not eligible. So I mean, it's all kinds of crazy rules that have to do with aging and care at home. So it is not an easy thing unless you have lots of money. If you have lots of money, then you can stay at home very comfortably.
Yeah.
But that's what, 1%, 3% of the
Yes.
people in
Yeah.
America. So, but the good news is, and again, this is because of the pandemic, people are starting to realize, our government, the Center for Medicare Services, is starting to look at how can we better do this.
Mm.
For decades, 40, 60 years now, we've been pushing people into hospitals when they get sick,
All right.
into nursing homes when they come out of the hospital.
Yeah.
And so that is shifting.
Mm.
So now what we're trying to do is look at where is the least restrictive setting for someone to age in, and then try to facilitate that.
So I want you to walk us through a scenario. So walk us through how to help a parent who has dementia.
Oh, that's a hard one. The first thing that you have to do if you have a parent with dementia is learn about it yourself.
Mm.
So read books, listen to videos, whatever, because I will tell you that dealing with a parent with dementia is counterintuitive, because you're always taught to respect your parents. You're always taught to orient people to the truth. And if someone has a dementia, then their behavior will change, their thought processes change, their needs change, and they need you to be loving and supportive to them. And if they think their dead spouse is still alive and going to come home at any moment, they need you to be in that dream with them.
Wow. Okay.
And so, what most people do, logically, and because of how we're taught,
Right.
you try to tell the parent, "No, mom, this is not your sister's home. This is where you live.
Yeah.
And if someone has a dementia, it scares them if someone's contradicting them. And conflict and contradiction are the things you want to avoid. So I would say number one, read as much as you can about what you as a caregiver or a family member can do to deal with someone with a dementia, because it is really a hard disease.
Wow. Merrily, you're helping us. You're helping us because this is very important. We have listeners that are caring for their parents. So I think, I mean, just that tip would be very helpful to someone that maybe, they're talking about the former, wife that passed away 10 years ago, and you're telling them that they're dead and they're passed away, and now they're going crazy and having a episode, which we call it, and the episode could be based on how we provoke the person.
Yeah,
Person
it
that's
usually
suffering.
is. And
Wow.
it's usually with very good intentions. You love your parent, and you're trying to do the best for them, but really the very best you can do is learn how to do it. There's a woman named Teepa Snow, and she does a series of trainings that are so down to earth and good, because she really does work with people about how you should be around someone with dementia. And little things like, people with dementia normally like a routine, and they don't like surprises. So when you're coming into a room, if you approach them from behind and they don't see you and you touch them, it can scare the you
Wow.
know scare them. And so you make certain that they can see you, you're
Wow.
visible to them before you do anything, and then you don't approach them rapidly. You find out where they're comfortable with you being, make certain you're not scaring them, because oftentimes they won't even know who their children are or their spouse.
Yeah.
And so you're not their loved one, you're some stranger in their head. And could be some scary stranger.
Jeez.
So anyway, there's a lot of information out there now to learn about
And
dementia.
can you spell that name? You say
TEPA, well, SNOW's SNOW. It's
yeah.
TEEPA, no H. TEPA,
Okay.
TEEPA,
No H. Okay.
SNOW, SNOW.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna put that in the notes because really, man, this is awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, for sharing this because this is, I know a lot of time we talk about leadership, but this is so important because this is real life situations. I know entrepreneurs that literally trying to grow their business and taking care of their aging parent at the same time. And that's something that we don't oftentimes talk about, on podcasts like this. So I mean, I think this is definitely great for someone even to share this with a loved one. That really help someone in situations like that. What are some leadership growth tips, some tools, advice that you can share with the Lead to Greatness community to help us reach our greatest potential?
I think it's basically always having a goal. I just had this conversation earlier today. Someone asked me to participate in a program where you have to set these goals and do all this kind of stuff, and I said, I it's a great program, but I've never had trouble setting goals. So I think setting the goals for yourself, now those goals can change, but having goals to reach, I think, is important. Measuring against those as well. So going back on a regular basis and double checking that you're still, A, that your goals are still the same, and B, that you are making progress towards reaching those goals.
Mm.
The other thing is lifelong learning. We never ever learn enough. So if you want to know how to do something differently, I mean, I got tickled the other day. You probably know what geofencing is in marketing. And we were talking about geofencing on a staff call the other day, and I said, "Okay, what's geofencing?" And explained to me how it works in home care. And it was very interesting, because geofencing is that technology where, if you get within a certain radius, then you start getting messages about the business. Lifelong learning, continuing to find things that will make you better, and will You can always do things better. You can always enhance things, but you don't want to change something if it's working. So knowing, what you should change or what you should keep working on are two things. But, as technology continues and as our global workforce continues and as we have these more communications, because I think what you're doing now, talking to me in a video call, is not going to go away just because we have a pandemic. We're going to still connect with people in a video call. And, 2 years ago, people would have said, you can't do that.
Right.
So it's, and learning how to do those video calls better. I've been on calls now where we go into breakout rooms and we have actual committee meetings and talk about things. And then you come back and share with the group. So it's all kinds of future possibilities that that we haven't even discovered yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's two things, I think. Having goals and continually trying to learn more.
If someone wanted to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
I think Help Choose Home is my podcast. And and it's available anywhere podcasts or where there are podcasts. And we have a website. Corecubed is my business, CORECUBED.com. And they can reach me there. Or I have my own blog, which is MerrilyOrsini.com. So lots of different places to reach me.
Awesome. Lead to Greatness. There it is. On behalf of the Lead to Greatness community, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us.
Oh, Cedric, thank you so much for having me today. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. And don't forget to subscribe to Lead to Greatness if this is your first time. And this podcast was helpful to you, leave a big thumbs up. And also, I want you to check out our Marriage Coach podcast, the podcast with my wife and I. If you're on iTunes, please rate this podcast and leave a review and help get the word out. Again, thank you, Lead to Greatness Nation, for joining us on today. Looking forward to seeing you again on next week. Till then, remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace. We out.